I believe we are live now in full effect. Welcome back, folks, to Virtual Intel YouTube channel. I don't think it's live. Okay, now we're live. Great. I'm just testing just to see if this live session is running properly because I had some issues with my live session and I don't know why I made a really bad error in my live session. I'm your host, Mike Pugh, by the way, folks, of the Virtual Intel channel. Welcome to Stable Diffusion Img2Img live stream. Hopefully, y'all folks are tuning in. And there we go. Let me just double check to see if my audio is working. Yep, the audio is working. Good. If y'all folks have any questions, feel free to let me know. Drop some comments, and I'll try to jump in the comment section. So what you're looking at, this is Stable Diffusion utilizing the Google Colab. If y'all folks never heard of it, you would probably want to look up Stable Diffusion on YouTube and then find some random videos. It doesn't matter. Just research before you get into this video because this video is not going to give you all of the details of everything that you need to know of how to use it. It's not a how-to. This is more like me having fun with it and basically going in and showcasing a technique that I pretty much developed using multiple tools. So I'm going to be using Mixamo. Mixamo is a dope 3D model, not really 3D modeling, but it's an animation software for 3D. And it does have 3D models that you can get from it. You can get 3D models for free from it if you wanted to. Depends on what you're looking for. Really dope 3D models that they have available to utilize. That's what this model is right here in this prayer position. I came up with a really unique technique to use Mixamo for the poses that I can get from 3D models and then use Img2Img on the Stable Diffusion to pretty much crunch out and crank out whatever type of AI art that I'm looking to get in a specific pose. So let me see if I can show y'all folks the end product. Here goes the end product here. Let me bring it down of one of my models posing. So that's what it looks like there and partial screen there. Very high quality, by the way, which is possible to render out on that Stable Diffusion page. Just takes some time. You have to do some adjusting and playing around and manipulating. So if you made it to this page and you haven't done Img2Img yet, it would behoove you to check it out, what I have to offer. Hopefully you can follow it and it can help you to get your Img2Images created. So in the beginning, you're going to run cells, a bunch of cells. So you see on the left side of the screen, you got the play button that shows up. You want to start the one that has the NVIDIA-SMI, and you can read all the other stuff, the prerequisite stuff or things that you need to know, which is terms of use and whatever else is on the page. They have random info, nice imagery that you can see over there of what it's detailing of what it can do. And then they have the scheduler sample study or sampler study, and they have change log. You can bypass these if you want. Or you can learn more about it by hitting the down arrow. Gives you more details of what this is. Basically, is quality. You use the DDIM sampler or scheduler to get a higher quality. And you'll see when we go down into the settings for what I want to set it up for, it has different modes. So you're going to start out with multiple modes. I should say the default mode that you're going to start out with is the prompt mode. So keep that in mind. So we're going to check to see if the NVIDIA GPU / VRAM is set up. And this is what this box is for. It basically tells you all the details for the more of the Google side of things. So the Collab page has GPU built into it. It's probably tied to some sort of cloud computer or grid computer on Google's data center somewhere around the planet. I don't know where it's at, where it's located, but Google offered up the Collab, so developers went in and built the AI into it. So how it works, pretty much you run these cells, and once you run the cells after setting up your settings, it will generate and crank out really nice AI art, or it might be low quality, depends on what you choose to set it up for. I have it set up for image to image, so you can change this mode here. It's going to be by default on prompt, so you want to change it to image to image if you're doing what I'm doing today. Now this general setting is really important. You see it says 512 by 512 over to the far right of the screen. This is the pixel size, aka the resolution. So you want to make sure that you set up your init image, which is the initial image or the image you're going to use to reference off of. And you want to set it up with the same exact pixel size. So what I mean by that is I'm going to go over to MS Paint, which is my tool of choice that I'm using for it, to get an image reference. And I utilize MS Paint in order to resize my pixels. So like this image here, I'm going to be using, which I made from Mixamo, which is her, that lady that you've seen, that 3D model. Now I have specific settings that I have on Blender that I just actually figured out. I was playing around with the settings for about a good half an hour or so to try to figure out how to get the best pixel quality for the background. Because when I came up with my last live stream, which turned out to be an epic fail, I was having problems with the background. So now I got the background pretty much adjusted really well. So I'm going to show y'all folks those settings for Blender users. If you're into Blender, it would behoove you to use these settings that I come up with. It's probably the best setting. So 512 by 512, we're going to set this there. And like I said, I'm doing live, so I'm receiving a phone call. Give me a second while I take this call. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, baby, what's up? I'm doing a live stream. Oh, okay. Yeah, I gotta do a live stream right now, so I'm doing a live stream. Okay. Yeah, I'll see you when you get back, all right? Okay. All right. Sorry about that, folks. You know, you got real life going on behind the scenes when you're doing your live sessions, so it is what it is. So I brought down the resolution down to 512 by 512. If you don't know how to do that on MS Paint or any other third-party image editing software, let me know. I'll try to get y'all folks some direct tutorials on that kind of stuff. But you could do it on Photoshop. You can do it on many different photo editing tools to bring down the image size. But on MS Paint, for those who are watching now, you can check it out. You just drop the little drop arrow here and you hit this little icon in the center where you see this box icon. After you drop the drop menu, then you hit the resize option and then you can drop down the pixel like that. I wouldn't recommend to do it by percentage, which is this 100 horizontal, 100 vertical. I wouldn't recommend doing it that way. I would recommend to go to pixels. So you move the dot to the far right for pixels and then you just drop it down like that and click OK. So 512, once you indicate one, it's going to indicate the other by scale. And this little maintain aspect ratio should be selected. If you deselect it, it won't go by scale. It won't scale it up based on what you chose to put in an input there. So just make sure this is checked or highlighted and click OK. And then that will resize it. So we're resizing it for a cube or a square surface area on purpose because this is the default surface area for the AI 512 by 512. So that's the general settings there. The scale, I recommend for you to just leave it where it is, but eventually you'll learn how to play with the scale and see what it does to your image. But for now, just leave it set at 13 by 8, which is a pretty good scale. And what that does is it affects the quality. For sure, it's going to affect the quality of your AI art. This seed right here, I recommend for you to leave it at 0 starting out if you don't know what to do with it. But eventually you'll learn how the seed works. It can help you to get back to a reference that you started with for that particular AI art that you generated. So it'll help you get somewhere in the vicinity of what that particular AI art looked like. But that would be the seed number. If you use 0, it's pretty much going to go randomly, and each time going to select a random seed number. This is the scheduler here. I recommend to go DDIM clip sampled for the image to image because it was the best setting that I was able to find for the scheduler. But you can play around with these and set them how you see fit. The DDIM ETA refers to this DDIM option, either the DDIM option or the DDIM clip sampled. So you can change that how you see fit, but I recommend 1 or 0.9 to get the best results for your quality. Precision, leave that set by default the way it is. Image to image post process, don't mess with it. I don't recommend you messing with it unless you want to get some errors, funky errors that will show up. And it talks about that here. If you're really advanced and you don't care about the error, then you can play with it. But when you first starting out, I wouldn't recommend it. Upscaling settings, you want to play with this every now and then just to see the difference. But pretty much upscaling settings is for scaling up your pixel quality. So we start out at 512 by 512. If you want to scale it out for like maybe a t-shirt design or some big gigantic poster design or something like that that you're scaling out for the real world, you want to multiply by the upscale amount here. So it starts out by default at 2. If you set it at 8, it's gonna upscale it by a factor of 8 times. So you multiply 8 times 512 to get 4096 pixels by 4096 pixels. So that's going to be your new resolution as the final render. You can also set it at 16, which I recommend for those who are trying to create t-shirts, because if you have like a t-shirt business out there online on YouTube or wherever, tied into your YouTube account, or maybe it's on a separate website, 16 is the best factor, I believe. If you go up to 32, it'd be pretty crazy in terms of the sizing, but you probably can do that as well. But I don't recommend it. 16 should be good. And that would bring it up to, if you do 8, it's 4096. So that'll bring it up to 8000 and some change. Other than that, in terms of pixel quality, that's that. Fidelity and sharpen, you can play with those sliders as well. I don't play with fidelity too much, but you can mess with it just to see the difference in your quality of the final render. Sharpen amount, I would recommend to go up to 2. If you go too far, you go to 3, it's probably going to look too sharp and look really rigid, like not the best quality. So all of this stuff that I'm telling you are settings for upscaling. That was that part. The next part is mode prompt settings. You don't have to change this. This is just a mode prompt file settings, I should say. You don't have to change this, just leave it the way it is. This is something new that they implemented recently, and I'm not 100% sure how that works in conjunction with every single time you try to re-render and run the cell. Rendering would be just to hit this play button to run this particular cell, and it would start the render process. But I don't recommend for you to start it yet until you get everything down that you want to set up for it. Mode prompt settings. This particular mode prompt you don't have to play with because this one is for the default prompt mode. So when you're on the mode here, set up at prompt, it's gonna run which one that you have it set up for. So look at that, it says prompt file. So prompt file, I guess, is for a particular file, and I don't know how to do all of that yet, but maybe in the future I'll learn about that. But for now, like I said, since you're using image to image, you want to scroll down and find the settings for image to image. Once you go past the upscaling settings, so you just keep scrolling down and bypass everything until you get to image. So whatever mode you set up, you just go straight to that one after the upscale settings. So this one, we're going to change the prompt. So the default prompt usually says something about a young lady or a young girl or whatever. So I changed it to a robot, and then I left the rest of it the way it is, and I got rid of MetaHuman on the back, and you'll notice it'll have all of this default text information in there. So you can get rid of all of it if you want, and then call it what you're trying to create as part of your image that you're initiating. So now the init image, we're going to get this from online, which is required for you to place that image online. You can't get it from your computer, unfortunately. So what I chose to do is utilize GitHub, which is really important to use. I try to use Pexels or pixabay.com, pexels.com, whatever. I try to use those websites to put up my image because I don't have my own website currently, but it didn't work on those particular ones, or maybe I didn't do it right off of those websites. So on GitHub, there's one specific way to do it. So I'll show y'all folks, but you want to get a GitHub account because GitHub is free. It's really dope how it offers up the ability for you to deliver content on it. So you can deliver all kinds of different content, but for the most part, it's going to be, if you're a coder and developer, you're going to be creating repositories for the code that you're trying to implement on there, or you can just implement image files. So that's what we're using it for. So you want to create, after you sign up and you get an account, you want to create a repository. So let me show you how it looks when you first start up, and I believe this is the page that's going to be presented to you. So you may not know exactly how to start a repository because it doesn't tell you exactly, but it says here recent repositories on the far left. You want to hit new. You hit new, and then in order to create it, you're just going to type in a repository name that you want to name it. So you can name it anything that you choose. And over here on the far left is going to be your username, and then that's going to tie it together. And then you can describe whatever you want to call that particular page or that repository setup. And the way to think of it is as if you're creating an extension of your desktop or laptop computer online. So you got to think of your repository on GitHub as if it's like a hard drive extension, or like more like a pathway to connect to differing folders online. Very similar to like Google Drive, which you're going to also need when you're using your Stable Diffusion page. So your Stable Diffusion page is going to tie and mount into Google Drive once you try to run it. So it's very similar to your GitHub page, which is an extension of your computer's file storage for your images. If you're using it for that purpose, the repository is very similar to that. So what I recommend for you to do also is to set it to public. You don't want it at private because then it won't be able to access that file. You will lock out the file and it won't be able to display through you linking it over here as an init image. So you see what's highlighted here. This init image area is an actual URL. So you're going to highlight the URL once you're on GitHub and once you get your repository up, and I'll show you that process. But mine is already created. I don't have to complete it, but once you're done, you click the create repository and then it starts your repository. To access it, you're going to go to the far right of the screen and go to your repositories around where your icon for your profile is. So you click and select your repositories, and then you click the naming of or name of your repository. Mine is AI, and it's an actual link. You click it, and it opens up the repository. From there, you get to store all of your files, and they all turn into hyperlinks, which you can left click it. And every time you left click them, it will access that particular file. But pretty much what we're sharing here and sending or uploading here are images. So they're image files, and when I click them, it will show up as an image on the screen. So from there, you want to know, how do I use this as that init image? How do I get the URL? So in order to do it, you're going to start from here, your listing, right, of your repository. You left click the image link or whatever. And once it shows up on the screen, you want to right click that image. You don't want to use the first URL that shows up here, because if you try it, it won't work. So you right click and go open image in new tab. That will create a new tab for it. And this is what you want. You want the raw.githubusercontent.com URL. That is the crucial and critical one, and that's required. And you see right here, I have raw.githubusercontent.com. So when you first start up by default, you'll notice it's going to say raw.github, whatever. So it'll have a default one. That's why I thought about getting a GitHub account. I never really used my GitHub account for a repository purpose. I just got it because it was required for me to use it for some developer permissions and things like that when I was trying to sign up to something else. So they required me to have a GitHub account. I think that was through Unreal Engine and the MetaHuman stuff on Unreal Engine. So now that I need to have a repository, this is the reason why I would be using it. So pretty much I go here, right click, copy, and then go back and multiple clicks. So you got to click this about 3 times with your left click mouse button to highlight it. Then you right click and paste. And that will be the new URL that shows up in the init image area. After that, you're going to be working on your init strength and image to image mode steps. These are really crucial and critical for what your graphic is going to turn out to look like. So mine, I set it up at 0.5. If you go too far to the right, it's going to stray very far away from the init image, I believe. Well, actually, no. If you go too far to the right, I think it's gonna be. I forgot actually this part. I think to the far left, it's going to be similar to your init image, and the far right is going to be extreme far right is going to be similar to the text prompt. That's what it is. So the text prompt that you choose to put in here, if you go far right, it will be to the 1. It will be what the text prompt says, and it'll be very extreme. If you go far left, it's going to be very far away from that text prompt, and it's going to be totally 100% what the init image is. If you start moving a little bit further, then you'll start seeing that the init image is starting to conform a little bit to what the text prompt is saying. You'll see small, slight changes, and as you go further and further, it will start to commit to the text prompt and totally transform that image, but it may retain the shape and the contour of that object. So if it's a human and it's a body pose, 0.5 was good for me to use because it actually will retain the full pose. So I won't lose the pose positions of the body parts, or, the fingers, the head, etc. So that's what I recommend. Just play around with that, moving it around a little bit from 0.5 to up above it and a little bit slightly below it. Now, image to image, I recommend for you to start out with the default. The default was 40. That's how they have it set up. I doubled it to 80 for the steps, for the mode steps. So it starts out at 40. I moved it to 80, and mine's is pretty much set really well. So other than that, that's that setup. You don't have to worry about it once you set it. But you can play with it every now and then and move one slider over a little bit, slightly over to the left or right, and then rerun the cell to render it. So I'll show y'all folks that technique as well, which is slight tuning, slight adjustments, just to adjust the quality so you can get a better render each time you try to iterate. Now, talking about iterations, we'll move past this version settings. We don't need to change anything here. Leave this setup by default the way it is. Advanced settings. You want to change some of the stuff in the advanced settings. We're going to bypass clean preview after iters. We're going to bypass skip bulky previews. We're going to bypass keep seed. And we'll go straight to number of iterations. Number of iterations, you can go to a maximum of 100. But I recommend for you to go at 1. If you can't go to 1, then go to 3. But it should go to 1. I don't know why it's not going to 1. Send this all the way to the left. It should go to 1. I don't know what's going on with this page, but yeah, so you want to keep it down as low as possible because you don't want that many iterations when you're first starting. You just basically want to learn how to use it, how to adjust your settings so that you can get the best quality, because then you're going to waste a lot of space on your Google Drive, and eventually you're going to have to delete the ones that you don't want anyway. Now this run forever, don't play with that. Leave it unchecked. I don't recommend that because that's going to fill up your Google Drive, and your Google Drive has a maximum space of 15 gigabytes when you're not paying for it. So the free version is 15 gigabytes. Now it can go up to terabyte levels, but you're going to have to pay for that. So anything past 15 gigabytes is going to be free, or anything, sorry, up to 15 gigabytes is free, and then anything past that you have to pay. So just keep that in mind. I'll show you over here. Mine's currently, this particular one is at, what is it, 8.17 gigabytes of 15 gigabytes used. So this is just like an example of what's going to happen once you get your Google Colab page mounted and linked together, and you accept the Google Drive to be able to receive all of the files. They're going to show up over here. So this is different iterations that I did of the robot praying, and basically transformed her into a robot. See, you can see all the different visuals, which is pretty cool. I mean, you can do different stuff and have fun with it as an AI artist, because AI art requires input pretty much. So you got to input into it to get something out of it. It doesn't just do it on its own. And you have to know how to play with the settings. That's pretty much the side of it that is somewhat complex, but once you get used to it, it becomes like second nature. This part here, save prompt, you want to save the prompt, which is important. Sometimes you want the information of all your settings. So if you want to save the prompt and the settings that you have, so like maybe in the future you want to get back to something similar to what you created, you leave the save prompt details checked. Use drive for pics. That's your Google Drive. So like I said, it's going to be mounted. This folder right here on the far left of the screen is going to be where the mounting happens. So you can select it if you want just to see that, but you don't really need to interact with it much. Usually when you get into video creation for the Stable Diffusion on a forum page, you're going to have to interact with that folder in the files, but you don't really have to do all that for this. And then right here where it says drive pic dir, you want to name what you want that folder on Google Drive to show up as. So I name mine's AI_uni, and then delete originals. If you don't want too many images to show up, just check this here, low VRAM patch. I highly recommend for you to have that checked so that you don't have too many errors show up, and it doesn't use that much RAM. The VRAM overspeed, you can play with that one, but I don't recommend it too much when you first start out. Just leave it unchecked. And other than that, you should be able to get some good imagery. So this is one that I did, which is an epic fail. As you can see, this is the lady's pose that I got, and it turned out to be a human head, which is not supposed to be a human head. I didn't want that. But it is what it is. It's going to do what it does. And let's see if I have other iterations. I don't have any other iterations. I only had one on that one. So I don't know why that failed, but we'll play around. I have the GFP GAN, which is an image upscaling. I talked about the image upscaling, but I didn't go into detail as to what this does. But it basically improves on the faces. The imagery will get much more enhanced. And sometimes, or a lot of times, the AI art tool will produce and generate really bad eyes and maybe a nose and a mouth. So if you use the GFP GAN, it will correct that issue most of the way, and it will provide much higher quality imagery for the eyes sections of a human character and the nose, mouth, etc. So you can play with these and just go back and forth. They have an image to image option, which I tried using it. Let's see if it does anything, if it changes anything. I did try using it before, but I didn't get a good render. So let's see. And I'm not using the same image. I'm using a different image, which is, it's okay. Now I noticed that the knees are extending, going too low. So I might have to bring up the knees a little bit. This is the one that they came up with. And also this is an image. The init image is a bad graphic. It's different from the one that I wanted to use. I wanted to use this one, so I actually grabbed the wrong one by mistake. So let me just throw that in there in the init image, paste it, and then I'm gonna stop it. You can stop it if you want in between and then rerun it again. So we'll run it again and let's see what it does to the image. So since I didn't let it complete, the very first time you try to run it, it's going to take much longer time to do the iteration and to get everything up and running. And once you're done that first full run, then it's going to work faster and it doesn't have to redo everything from scratch in terms of loading, the differing page setups and all kinds of different things. It will actually move fast. So let's see. Since I already loaded it, it is moving fast. But like I said, the very first time you're gonna see a whole lot of information, a whole lot of things going on. Don't worry, it hasn't failed yet. Look at this. I have a human head, which is not what I want, but I could use it in some other way. I don't know, some other way, manner, and fashion. But I'm gonna have to change some of my settings. Maybe move up the 0.5 of the init strength to like 0.55 or something like that. So let's see what it's doing. It looks like it's trying to create another iteration. Now I'm gonna get y'all folks to the technique and strategy that I used. It looks like it's failing actually. CUDA out of memory. So it's probably because I had it sitting for too long and I did not do much with it. So I may have to go in and use another account. So y'all folks will get to see that, which is probably a good thing. Let's take the seed. You can copy seeds and you can use those. I'm just going to play around and see what I could do with the seed and try to place it in there. Paste it where it says seed, which is the 0 there. I'm going to change the image to image upscaler to back to GFP-GAN, which that one worked a lot better. And other than that, I will change the 5.5. Where is that at? I think that's in the image to image setting. So I gotta find the image to image setting. Yeah, change it to 0.55, I meant to say. All right, and then we're gonna run it just to see what it does. Looks like it's running. The error could have came from that image to image setting. All right, so it generated her again. See, I'm using the same exact seed and she looks the same, pretty much identical to the other character. So let's just go up in the scale a little bit more on image setting. Number of iterations is still at 2. I don't understand why it's at 2. Look at this. It's like a glitch or something. I don't know. I gotta get that working. So we're gonna bring this up to about, let's go to 0.65. And let's see what else it's creating. It hasn't created anything else. Look at that. So it is definitely having some sort of a error or issue, which is not a bad one because it's allowing me to generate. So it looks like I set it at 2 and it's actually iterating 1, which is weird. Should be set at 1. It doesn't even allow me to go down to iterate at 1. Iterations means how many you want. And look, her face is still there. So that means that it's the particular seed that I'm using. So let's get off of that seed. And let's go up to like 495. Let's try that. We're going to stop it and start it again. And see what it does. Yeah, so this is pretty dope what you can do with AI art. I mean, it's amazing actually. Let's see what we got. Wow, it turned her around somehow. And it's still her head. It got the human head for some reason. Let's go crazy. Let's turn this into 90,000. Let's see what it does with that. Because it was 81,000 and something at the tail end of this seed number. Let's try that. It probably will give a human head still. But I'm trying to stray away from the human head and get a robot head, which is what I got earlier when I was running it. There we go. Now we got the robot head. Now, like I said, the only problem that I'm having now is the knees are not really consistent. It looks like it still has human eyes. That's interesting. It gave a helmet. So, I don't know. Maybe I should take off the GFP GAN and just use Enhance Real S-Gran. S-Gran pretty much will help in raising the pixel quality, I believe. And maybe some slight imagery adjustments. Hold on one second, I got a phone call. Hey Booby, what's up? I know. I'm still doing a live stream.
Okay.
Alright. Oh boy. Alright, so let's try this one before we go anywhere. We just changed the image upscaler. So pretty much that's what I meant earlier in terms of changing one thing at a time. So you just make one little adjustment and see what it does to the final render. And each time you do a little slight adjustment just to see what it does. And you should get better results. It did not give me that much of a better result. It gave me the same exact result. So let's get off of this seed. We're going to go to 0. Just so I can generate another random seed. And then maybe I can work with that. But it looks like it's going in and trying to do more than less. All right, there goes the upscaler. The upscaled, that's the S-Gran, ES-Gran, whatever. That's that option. Enhance Real S-Gran. Or ESR GAN. I like to call it S-Gran, I don't know. They probably should have called it ESGRAN. That would have been easier to pronounce. Those things are not easy to pronounce at all. So hold on one second. Let's see what it's going to do. Okay, now this one turned the robot backwards and gave it a big booty, which, yo, that's kind of funny. I might keep this one just for a giggle or two. Yeah, that's really weird. Funny looking and weird looking, and it enhanced it for sure. So I'm definitely not using that seed. So it's more like a hit or miss type of thing on this. So you just want to keep going sometimes. and just to see what else you can get. Once I get something that looks really, really good, I'm going to try multiple iterations so that I can find something in there out of all the iterations that I really like. And this is going far away from her position, and it's still giving me a human head, which I don't really like. So I have to figure out why that's happening. What I'm probably gonna do, I don't know if I want to change the scale. I'm not gonna change the scale. I'm gonna change the steps. Most definitely. So let's go to the steps. So the image to image mode steps is set at 80. I'm gonna drop it down to 60 and see what it does there. Because it should come up with an image that looks like this. Let's see. Well, the arms are there. That's good. But the knees are not. And let's see where the knees are at, actually. I think the problem is that the knees are too low. So I'm going to have to pull back on that image. So let's go back over to MS Paint. And I will change some of this. It's too close to the edge. That's what's going on here. So that's 552 by 552. I will center that. So you want to come up with a great init image starting out. That's what I recommend, with the pixel size and everything, even the background. The better your init image, the better your final render result. So the AI is just struggling with where's the legs at, where's the knees at. It's not sure where to put those things at. So if you have this stuff hidden too much, it's not going to show too well. So I think that's what the problem is. I'm going to name this pick edit 4, because when you go over to GitHub and you use the same exact file name and you try to upload it, it's going to pretty much utilize the same image. So you want to change the file name if you're utilizing the same image or any other image, a different image. So we're going to go in, add file, upload file, and then grab that one. Pick 3, edit 4, I called it. You can call it whatever you want to call yours. We're going to call this edit 2. Make sure you write something in here for commit changes, and then you click the green button for committing the change. And we will click it, right click, open a new tab, and it should be over here, Roar GitHub. There we go. And this is the improved version. As you can see, there's a lot of white space around all of the body parts, which is what you want. Then we're going to change that prompt, not prompt, but that init image for image to image settings. Triple click in here, right click and paste. And it should have a new name here, pick 3 edit 4.png. So there we go with that. And we are going to drop the init strength just a slight bit, because I think it will change. It will change for the better. Let's see. Because when I first did it, I did not need 0.5 or greater than 0.5, I should say, to get a good image. And there we go. See, now the knees look like it's in place. Now what it's struggling with is the legs, the back of the legs somewhere. So that means that I'm gonna have to adjust on Blender and put the feet somewhere. So like position the feet so you can see it. So I'm using Blender, by the way, because Blender is a really great tool to create different poses for 3D models. So if I made it like that, it can see the actual foot. See, you can see the back of the foot. So it won't just put the knees in there. It will put like a back portion of the foot. If you make it like that at this angle, it will try to put those in and articulate it. So depends on what angle you choose to bring it in as. Now for Blender, if y'all folks are new to Blender or not, I'm not sure. I'm gonna show y'all folks the settings. So let's go, and we're gonna open and start a new Blender for those who are brand new to it, have no idea how to do anything, or for those who are savvy and they just want to get the kind of settings that I have. So I'm using Blender version 3.30. And what Blender is it's a 3D animation software, 3D modeling software, and much more. You can do VFX, you can do video editing on it. You used to be able to do game development on Blender, but I don't think it has a game engine built in anymore. But you used to be able to do that. You can do so much with it. It's amazing. And all you pretty much have to do is download it for free on your computer. I use all free software. And then try to learn from YouTube videos. And also they have a help section. You can go to help and go to the manual. And then from the manual is available online. You can read every little detail, start up from the beginning and work your way all the way through. And slowly but surely, you'll build up the knowledge base on Blender. So that's how I did it. I learned from the manual as well as from whatever's offered online through the online community for Blender. There's websites out there. There's actual tutorial makers who are official Blender gurus and top-notch Blender users who've been using it for years, for way over 10 years. I believe even close to 20 years. And they're so experienced and so knowledgeable, so you can learn a lot from them people. That's how I learn. I learn from everybody, and whatever I learn, I put it on my YouTube channel. Actually, I don't need to do that. Usually when you start, you want to highlight and delete everything to start up from scratch. But we're going to go to File in the upper left corner and go to New, and then go to Video Editing. Actually, no, sorry. I apologize. I'm thinking that I'm creating AI videos. If I was doing AI video, I would go to Video Editing. Actually, yeah, I'm going to delete a lot of this stuff. I'll leave the light, and I'll just delete the cube, and this is a camera for rendering purposes, but we don't need the render in Blender for what I'm using it for. So pretty much what we're going to do is we'll bring in the model just for shits and giggles. So we'll go to Import, first go to File, go to Import, and then go to FBX. The model has to be extracted, or how would you say, downloaded. You have to get it from Mixamo. So let's go to Mixamo so I can show you that real quick. On Mixamo, say it was this model, you just hit the download tab in the upper right area. You download and then leave everything set up by default. Make sure it says with skin, this option here, and hit the download tab. After downloading it, it will go to your computer. Make sure you store it somewhere on a file folder that you know how to get back to, you know the name of it, etc. Or you can send it to your downloads section, but I recommend to create a folder for it because this is going to become a process that you have to duplicate and replicate and keep doing over and over again if you want to create more content using Blender. So your file will start to build up over time. So I already got my file folder set up, but once you save it, you go back to Blender and you find that file folder. So mine is in my avatars, I believe, and it is one of these. So we'll just put in the praying one and click import. And once you import it, it will show up in Blender as a 3D model. So the benefits of having a 3D model in Blender is you can rotate in 3D any position you want. You have an XYZ axis, which is indicative of over here. And you can change the orientation, how you choose to orient your model. You also can go in Blender and you can move it. If it has a rig, which is a skeletal system built into the 3D model, and rigging means that it's able for you to animate it and move it. You can go in and you can animate different body parts. Actually, we're not seeing all of the body parts here, but depending on how you render it and how you set up things, you'll be able to see more or less. And this is where the tutorials come in. You would have to know like what to select and where to go to make certain things visible or not. You have different settings. You have tons of settings. You can make the bones go away. You can make the bones visible. I kind of forgot where I have to go to change a certain setting, but I think it's viewport display and in front, and there we go. So there goes all the bones. You can go in and you can choose to repose it. I'm in a different mode right now, so I'm in a mode where I could rotate the bones and move them. See? So in the digital sense, you're controlling the structure of the 3D model. So that's the benefit of Blender. So you can basically make whatever pose you want, but I was using Mixamo to start out with a reference pose. So the reference pose is, this particular reference pose is a prayer, obviously, but you can make any kind of pose you want using Blender. You can turn her head if you wanted to. I can use the R key on my keyboard and rotate it. I can rotate it in, I can select R and Z and rotate it in the Z direction. See that? I can do anything that I want. I can go in, if it has a rigged mouth, so if it has a face rig, you can go in and you can move the face shapes. And there's many levels in Blender, different things that you can do. It's pretty powerful. So by learning that stuff, it gives you much more of an edge in terms of artistic stuff that you're trying to create, for sure. Now, in terms of the settings that you want to render it as, the whole object of also bringing it to Blender is to get rid of the background. So you don't want all of this stuff. So to start removing some of the background stuff that you see, you can click up here where it says show overlays and show gizmo. You select those and they disappear. And then you can click over here in the far upper right corner to change some of the render settings. I recommend for you to be in the viewport shading mode, not in the full render mode, which is, this is the rendered mode for Eevee. This one is the viewport material preview mode for viewport shading, and then this one is the solid mode. So you want to be in this solid mode, the second one. Then the far left is the wireframe. You don't want it in wireframe. You want to at least be able to see the visual. Then you're gonna click this shading drop arrow, and you want to go to texture, viewport, and change the viewport to white. You want it extreme white, because the object is to clean out the background, to make a very clean background. If you don't have a clean background, then your final render over on Stable Diffusion is not going to turn out looking that great. So keep that in mind. So there you go. If you want that setting, that's your setting. It's a pretty cool setting. You can change all of these if you wanted to and experiment with these, but I found that textured is pretty good. You can mess around with some of these things in here, these check marks. If you want to like back off on something or improve on something. And other than that, I think this is the best setting. See, this is outline or not. I don't want to outline. And either way, I want the outline to be white. Let's see. And yeah, that's it. So other than that, you can use this if you wanted it the way it's set up here. You would have to improve on the lighting to get a much better graphic. And let's see, matte cap, flat. I would recommend for you to go to flat to get it to light up a little bit better, so you get more of a distinguished image, like so. And then you can use that as the graphic. And then from there, like I said, you don't have to use render. You can use your screen capture software, whatever screen capture software you use. I use a Snagit tool or a snipping tool for Microsoft Windows. And I also use the print screen button off of my computer. So I choose to use the free mode. You have to hit this new button here if you're using the snipping tool in the upper left corner. And that allows you to create more of a cutout, like a cookie cutout of the character. So I'm cutting it out right now using my mouse, my left click mouse button, by depressing it. And I made a little error. If you make an error, you just want to deselect the mouse and then start over from scratch. But this you don't really have to do, but I want to cut it out because I like to have cutouts just in case if I have some slight errors in pixel quality, and if I want to go in and smooth it down. And that was an error right there, so let me do it one more time. This takes a little precision with your mouse, which is not easy to do because a mouse isn't the most accurate tool in your digital toolbox. See, I keep messing up, keep hitting some of the body parts. But if you actually get a good cutout, then you can start working using whatever tool of choice for image editing. It could be Photoshop, it could be MS Paint like I use, which is free. You could be using Critter, you can be using tons of other, more of like a digital art tools or image editing software that could edit out the pixels for you and get you a better quality graphic. So this is what I got here. We're gonna go save as, and I'll save it as pick 4. I don't know, call it something else. I'm gonna call it pick 4. Save. And then we're gonna take that and move it over to MS Paint. So let me open up MS Paint. We'll go open and find pick 4. As you can see, it looks like it's a white silhouette around it for that image, but it's a cutout. I do have an error in it. Hold on one second. I will get rid of that. Delete. Okay, so at this point, what I want to do is create nice borders around it. And I want to create more of like a square. So it should be able to fit inside a nice square. So we're going to go 19 or 918 by 918 pixels. Just because that's a pretty decent number for the size of it. We're going to zoom out a little bit on the preview and try to center it. Why you want to center it? Well, because it's a good positioning that you need to place your model in, or your graphic. You want it to be centered so that it can be positioned really well for the AI art tool to detect all of its body parts, pretty much. All right, so we're gonna go in and save this one as a PNG, and we're gonna go off the pick 4 and call it edit 1. These naming conventions you don't need to have. how I do it. I'm just creating my own based on whatever I want to call it. You can call your naming conventions how you want it for your files and formatting purposes. All right, so other than that, we can bring it over to GitHub online through the GitHub repository. Hit the back arrow, go in file, go upload files, and choose it. We'll go pick 4, edit 1, open. And from there, we will call it edit 1. And then go to commit changes. From there, we will go and click it. So it comes up on the screen. You see here. See, now I got the feet in there, so it should build robot feet, hopefully. And then we're going to open a new tab, right click and open a new tab. And then double click over here, right click, copy, go back to my page and try to bring it into the image-to-image settings for init image. Triple click here, right click, paste. And I made a little error with the init strength. We'll leave the init strength at 0.6. And then all we have to do is hit the play button again. And it should go in. You see, there it is right there. That's the new init image. And it's going to go in with the new pose. Wow. That looked pretty cool. But it gives her a stylish jacket with robot hand and kind of like a robot neck. I'm trying to figure out why is the face and the head human-like. I don't know. It's supposed to be a robot. There's something going on with that. So I have no idea what is going on, why it keeps doing that. But just in case, we'll delete any other prompt that it has, just in case if it's glitching off of other prompts, because it's possible that it's glitching. I don't know. Maybe glitchy. CodeFormer, I tried that as an upscaler, but I didn't get good results. Let's try it and see what it does without changing anything else. Oh, pretty cool. So now we're getting the robot. I changed it to CodeFormer and now it looks more robotic. But the hands is not in a great position. Looks like it missed the point on the hands. I actually like the graphic. It looks pretty unique as an artistic look. Pretty interesting. I'll probably use this seed and then go off on a different tangent with the seed. So like 9, maybe 9:11 or 9:12, 9:13. Let's see. Where's the seed location to drop it at? Right here. So let's just put like 9. Actually, we'll do 9:14. And let's see what the end results of what they came up with. Look like it timed out for a little bit because it's redoing all of this information. Usually it doesn't have to redo it. Oh, wow. Look at that. It upscaled and now the eyes look like it's human eyes. That is interesting, actually. I may keep this one. Very interesting. I wish the hands was in the prayer shape though. But it looks like it's having a orientation position problem because that graphic is oriented slightly to the left, I think, with respect to how we look at it. I might have to rotate it a little bit more further, but I wanted to get that foot in there. Yeah, having problems with the hand, and that's probably because we can't see the outline of the graphic for the outfit. So let me go back on Blender. So you may have to do some fine-tune adjustments in order for the color contrast to look proper. And that's probably because of the lines. I did not outline it properly. There goes some outlines, but what about the arms? The arms are not outlined good at all. Interesting. So maybe we're having issues with lighting. Yeah, we'll have to just change the texture to something different. So the AI can tell that the hands are there and the arms are there. The AI is having struggling with that. So let's see, what is a good mat to set it at? It's just the lighting is not that great. So there is a way to turn the lights at a different angle, but I have to figure out, I think you have to move this thing. See, studio rotation. Yeah, I think it's over here. There we go. So to get a better lighting, you have to just rotate it, I guess. Let's go back to matte cap. And I don't know if the actual lights inside the Blender will make a difference. Let's go to the light and see what we could do with the light. Oh, we're in pose mode, so we got to go to object mode and be on the light. And let's see. No, I don't think the light will make a difference here. Let's bring the light in to view. Oh, the light is all the way up there. Let's bring that light down and in front. Maybe I think the pose would be better like this, just to show her legs. All right, let's take this out. And you can't see both hands. That's the only problem with having prayer hands, is that you can't really see both hands. It's always going to be something that's out of perspective. So all right, that's a good angle. Maybe like that. And let me print screen that one. We'll work on this one. See what that does. Go back in, paste it. Now I'm doing the screen capture. What do they call it? Print screen technique. So you could just hit the print screen button on your keyboard. Should prove faster than any other method. Hold on. Just trying to reposition it. Okay. And then from there, I'll just delete some of the stuff, drag it in, and try to resize it so it fits the 80/80. And I don't know why it's doing that. I gotta click out of it, I think. Why is it scaling on both sides? Shouldn't do that. Something wrong. I'm trying to get it to scale only on one edge. I don't know why it's scaling on both edges. Usually it doesn't do that. Hold on one second. Let's maximize it to go up a little bit higher. There we go. It's probably because I was too low on the zoom. So we made it at 872 by 872 pixels. So I got to move her over a little bit more. Maybe like right there. That's not bad. And let me scale it up a little bit more. Hold on. There we go. And now I'm gonna change the resolution down to 512. Okay. Boom. So now we're gonna take that, save as, and make it pick 4 edit 2. This is just the angle change, orientation change for the legs, so that we can see the legs as well as the arms. We want the arms to be formatted properly. So for the prayer hands. All right, so we're gonna bring it back over to GitHub. Hit the back arrow. Jump in and upload it. Now this one's kind of dark, so I hope it works. This is going to be edit 2. And copy, scroll back up, try to find the Img2Img init image section, paste it, and run. See what it does. See, it came in there. Should work out pretty good. Wow, it looks like it's reading a book. This one's not bad. This is pretty cool. But it put a light switch instead of a foot in the back of it. But as you can see, the iterations are starting to work really well. Getting better and better as time goes by. More robotic and more cleaner. So this is pretty much your techniques that you can use to make adjustments. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna, oh, that seed is a good seed. Let's go in and put it at like 915. Let's go up by 1. Now let's change the scale just to see if we can get a better graphic. We'll go up to like 17 from 13.8. And now we'll just go in and see what it generates. Interesting. A human face. Now it looks like she's just holding her hand. But it definitely knows that the leg there has a foot. But it doesn't see the other foot. It's kind of off on that. But the quality is going up a little bit. And the upscaling is working really well. See, it's a real human face in there with a robot suit. This actually I can use. Really nice concept. I like the style of the graphic. It's very nice, stylized of like a robot suit. So she's more like a cyborg than a robot. Interesting. That's very interesting that it did that. Sometimes it will stray away and you'll end up with something that you like. So keep that in mind. Let's go up to 20 and try it one more time at the same exact seed and see what it does to her. May make it identical, but we'll see. I think we're going to get a really dope generation. Well, it looks like her face is blurred. because I'm going too high in the scale. If you go way too high in scale, you start blurring out the image, which doesn't make too much sense, but I guess going too high on anything is not really that sensible. It's not that good. See, the eyes are gone. That's a big issue. But if you do get a better graphic for the suit, you might want to take it and cut out the suit and then superimpose it on the other one. But sometimes also the new iterations will be slightly off from the previous iteration. So even if it's the same seed, let's go up to a higher seed. We're going to go up to 20 and use the same exact setting, but we're going to drop the scale down to about 14 and see what it does there. Ah, that looks pretty neat. I like this one. It's kind of interesting, actually. It looked like it's all of a robot, but it gave the robot a sweater, and then the robot looks like it's holding a cell phone, but instead of it being a cell phone, it's like scrap metal. I actually like this one. This is pretty dope. And then it's showing like as if it was made by a specific type of artist or whatever. You know, artists sign their graphic. But if you notice, look at how clean the background is. It's really super clean. So you can take this and cut it out and superimpose it somewhere else, and you won't have any problems because the background is nice. Also, I can use this as a transparency effect. Let's try that. Go to Save As and call it Robo. I already got a Robo in here, I think. Let me see. Yeah, Robo Prey. So we'll call it Robo Prey 1. Save it. And then what we'll do is go into MS Paint and see if we can turn it into a transparency. So we'll go to this one, which is the one I started with. Open. And sorry. Let's zoom down. Meanwhile, it's upscaled to 4096 because I scaled it up by a factor of 8. So now what we're going to do is we're going to select all. Select all, and then go to transparent selection. And then try to move it. And as you can see, you can move it. So from here, if I wanted to superimpose it onto something else, let's get a background. Let's go for this background that I created. Pretty cool stuff that I did for some graphic that I was coming up with for different video creations. And we will go in. Actually, this is another background, but that has more like imagery built into it. But we'll paste it there because I don't want to find it in my file folders. Might take me too long. And I'll just put it there. MS Paint does stuff really fast, so you can just fake the funk and just throw things wherever you want to throw it. Let me just fix this up a little bit because the far left corner is not that great in terms of positioning. So we'll move this over and up a little bit and then throw this in here. And now we're going to go to paste. Oh, sorry. We got to go over to the other one for the transparency. Go to copy. Copies it to the clipboard. Then we're going to go to the new background and paste. And then we're going to turn the transparency on here. And it worked, I think. I just have to reduce the size. Now, I am having some issues with the borders. So that would take me to do a lot of cleanup and stuff. So I still have to clean it up, but at least it is clearly transparent. We're going to reduce the size. Go down to about 30. I don't care, 32, it doesn't matter. And move it around. And then reduce the size again and go down to about 40. Okay. And where did it go? At the back. Nope, that didn't do it. All right, we'll paste it again. This time we're going to bring it down to about 10%. There we go. See, so the graphic is not too bad. We still have some artifacts in there. Small little tiny things that I could go in and clean up. It would take me a while to clean up all those pixels. But the best way to do it would be you go over to this graphic here and you're gonna paint it another color. So let's paint it like something like green, because green works well for like green screen stuff. You want to paint it, and then you're gonna go in and get rid of all those pixels. So you have to zoom in mad close and do like a fine-tune repair. Maybe use a brush and brush it in there, all those pixels. So once you got it all done, it's going to take a while. It might take me half an hour or whatever amount of time it takes to do it all. Once you paint all of the artifact pixels, all the bad pixels, and you got it really nice and refined, you can use it elsewhere as a transparency, because then you can paint in the white again and then turn it transparent again and delete anything that you need to get rid of that shouldn't be in there, that you don't want. So like, hold on one second. Like this, get rid of that. And why is the tools looking like this? I don't know what's going on with the tools on MS Paint. I guess because I have it small. All right, so then I can use like the freeform tool and then go in and cut out anything that I want to cut out. All the areas that I want to get rid of. And then go back and fill it in and keep going. The more you go hard at it, eventually you'll have this as one solid and all the artifacts will be gone. So then you can use that as a graphic for something else. Pretty cool, right? So that's using all kinds of stuff. So you started with Mixamo, then you went over to Blender, then you went back over to the Stable Diffusion, and then by clearing up all the background thanks to Blender, you're able to go a little bit further with a lot of it. And the more iterations you work on, the better graphics you're going to get. The more adjustments you make, the more higher quality graphics you're going to get, and it will definitely turn into something that you can use. You can actually use it as a reference to build a 3D model off of, or some sort of concept art that maybe you're creating, I don't know, comic books, or you're trying to come up with film, like you want to create a film, more of an animated film type thing, and you want all of your content to look a certain way. Well, now you have a tool. This is definitely a tool that could do it for you to come up with the reference material super fast and iterate at light speed, literally iterating it at light speed, and you're getting all kinds of different graphics that you're looking for. So say I wanted this same guy in another pose. Make sure you save that seed. Let's go with another pose, right? We'll take this pose. It's not as clean, or maybe this pose, and go back in there off of that image to image. I think that it's already on GitHub if I didn't delete it, and then we're just gonna run it up again. Should iterate that same guy. Nope, it's not on GitHub. So which one is on GitHub? Maybe this one. Let's try that one. Yeah, that one's there. I deleted some of them because I don't want it to be too crowded. Now let's see what it does with this one. Wow, so this is a different graphic. I don't know how that worked. It should have came up with the same guy. But maybe because I changed the image, it's gonna go in and do something different. I don't know how the seed works in that respect, but we are using the same seed. And I figured that it should generate the same thing if you're using the same seed. As you saw many times, it did. But I guess when you, like I said, when you change the init image, it probably will go in and change that graphic. See, it's doing it again. Just now did the same one. So let's try this one and see what it does with this one. Yeah, so all of this stuff is trial and error. It's not always going to give you what you want all the time. So you got to bear with it. Obviously, it's free, so bearing with it is something that is essential. This is the one with the arms that's not that good. But I don't think it's the same lady. Look, this is a different lady, and the pose looks really interesting. It's not a prayer pose because the arms is out of place. Like, can't really tell with the arms. So, but when it scales up, you're gonna see that the face is gonna look way better than this. So here goes the scale. See, the face has real human eyes. I may use this one too. Looks interesting. Almost has like a, what's that guy's name? From Marvel, Iron Man. Almost has like an Iron Man suit with this circular light looking thing in the middle. That was like the cat outfit. It turned into a circular Iron Man looking suit. Pretty dope. So let's see. Hold on, my wife is texting me. Hold on. She might want me to meet her. I'm just asking her if she wants me to meet her somewhere. Because we need to just do something today. So I'm going to end the session soon. I'm definitely done with it. But I showed y'all folks many different ways to improvise on this stuff and play around with it. Let me move up the steps a little bit. Let's go up to like 120 and see what it does with the steps. And I may change the init a little bit just to see if the quality goes up. She put not really. Hold on. Yeah, she don't want to meet me somewhere, so she's probably just gonna come back home. Wow, look at that. It iterated the same exact model, but this time it looks like the legs are trying to form. Cool. So let me see the upscale image. Just gonna go and upscale. Nice. Looks like ellipse even forming and everything. So let's go and change. Let's go back. Hold on 1 second. Let's go up in the number of iterations. Because sometimes when you change the number of iterations, you might get some really good variations. We'll leave it at 120. And we will go with the init strength of 0.64. See what that does. That may go a little bit more closer to the text prompt. More towards the robot side of the spectrum in the final render. Let's see. It definitely is robotic, much further away from where it was at, but it added another arm instead of a foot on the location where the foot's supposed to be. And the arm went down. That's why, like I said, you want that initial image to be a good one. That init image should be very high quality for graphical purposes, for recognition. Look at that. Look what it did with this one. It took the arms all the way down and turned into a total different robot with the foot not even showing. This is going to upscale and look really, really dope. I'm definitely keeping this one. Just by the design. I like the design of the robot suit and the shape of the head. And things like that is what I like to keep as concepts. So, because in the future, I want to create like some nice series for robots. Since we're in the AI age and more like the age of robotics and technology going so extreme, why not? You know what I'm saying? I think it's going to be dope to try to create like animation, robot animations and short films and all that stuff. That's my aim, utilizing this AI art stuff. Also, I'm into rap music, so I'm going to be trying to create rap videos using it. If y'all folks want to see a video I created so far, you can check my channel. I have a very short video for AI art video creation. But I've been trying my best to get it to iterate a very, very similar graphic for each one that it iterates. But with the AI art video creation tool for Stable Diffusion, it strays far away from the initial graphic most of the time, so you have to like really fine tune and try to adjust it to get it to come back to the zone of reference to where the initial graphic was. So you're gonna take that init strength and move it closer and closer to the original design, or original model, or original graphic that you initially put in. But in the case of making videos, you also have the choice of using a video. So if you want to get it closer and closer to a video, it's you definitely have to fine tune it. This looks weird. Super duper weird. I don't know what it's doing with this. Looks like she's holding a cell phone, but she got glasses on and her head is bald and she got sideburns. That is just really crazy, weird looking. And she looks like a little bit. This one looks like it's on the phone. Man, I got a lot of weird stuff going on with this. These particular seeds are definitely out of control. Kind of like the style on this one for the head portion. Pretty nice. Yeah, these iterations are really off the charts compared to what I thought I would make it look like. So Where do I have to adjust? The iterations are up at 6. Let's move it down to 4. And let's clean the iterations. Move it at 4. I don't know if that makes a difference. And the steps, we're going to step it up a little bit to 140 and move the init strength down, back down to like 0.55. Let's try that. And also we're going to change the image. Did I change the image already? I think I did. I think I changed it to this one. Let's see. No, I didn't. For some reason, didn't go through. All right. But as you can see, it's pretty fast and iterating. And that girl's back again. We're going to start with a different init image and see what it does. See what it cracks out. Come on, baby. Let's do the twist, twist, twist. Come on, baby. Let's do the twist. Let's see. Let's see what we got. Look at that. It's definitely a cyborg. This one looks pretty neat. I like this one. Not too bad. The upscale is going to definitely give her eyes. So you'll see the eyes are going to come in when it upscales. But the hands don't look too bad, actually. But you can tell that those are robot arms and robot hands. It's clear as day. It didn't give her eyes, but it came close. It tried, but the lips look pretty decent. So maybe she doesn't have eyes. I don't know. Whatever. It brought that girl back somehow. And it cut off the arm. Why did it do that? I don't know. This thing definitely has a mind of its own when it comes to design, so may not design exactly what you want. I do like how her joints are really robot-like. Interesting stuff. What this thing comes out with off of your init image. So this one looks like it upscaled and brought the eye in, but then this eyeball is missing. I don't think I'm gonna be using this one, but I may use the joints as a reference. This looks kind of dope right here. And again, it brought the Iron Man looking outfit. Look at that, upscaled the eyes, brought the eyes in. I like her hairstyle. And you can't see the legs though, because of the positioning of my init image. But it definitely looks like her hands are open wide, which is where I was going for. I was trying to get that. And actually, this looks pretty dope. I just got to work on the legs, maybe put some back legs from another graphic and superimpose it on there. We'll see with that. Not legs, but the feet, because the legs are in there. So the feet should be back there. And let's see, we're going to get another iteration about to pop up right now. Let's see what we got. Nope, that's way off the charts. That is definitely doesn't look like what I came up with as an init image. So yeah, we have some with issues, others without. The reason why I tried these extreme positions, I really went hard to try these, is because I want to see how it handles the difficulties. What type of difficulties you will have when you run into stuff like this one here, It's a little dark and stuff like that. This one is just too bright because you can't see like the difference of where the arms are actually drawn and where's the outfit, and basically the lines that showcase it. You just see hands and they're upward, facing upward, but the AI can't tell what it is 100%. So it's just going to choose randomly where to put the arms at. It's thinking that it's arms, but it's not sure 100%. Then this one, we have the feet that's in the way. So it can't really see the feet. Or not the feet, but the thighs are in the way when with her kneeling position. This one you can see it a little bit better. And this one is kind of tough. I tried the black background as well. Doesn't work that great. And I did another character. This character turned out really great because my thumbnail image is representative of that. And that looked pretty decent. Even this one looked pretty decent. But when you have a ground plane in there, like with, I guess, a graphical appeal of the look of the ground plane, it's going to show up as a ground plane in the end product over here as an AI art design. So that's why I try to remove all the background stuff. Other than that, that's it. I'm out of here. Joe Love and peace to all. Mike Pugh signing off. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to hit the thumbs up. And feel free to share this video socially with other people if you feel this video impacted you in some way or manner to help you. Because it's all about us helping each other. You know what I'm saying? Once you learn something, I recommend for you to help somebody else learn from what you learned. And your goal as a content creator will be achieved just by doing that. It's not necessarily always about making money out here on YouTube. To me, it's all about each one teach one. So we help each other to grow and expand our knowledge base and to get from point A to point Z, if that's what you're trying to do in a digital sense. And obviously, if you achieve great things, other people can achieve it as well. But other than that, I'm out of here. Peace out.